What's that around your mouth?
Josh, don't be stupid. It's a mask. You have one too.
Just kidding. Let's take a closer look at how St. Paul has been dealing with COVID-19.
Okay.
With the new school year, St. Paul Public Schools students are facing tough times with the coronavirus impacting everyday things at home and school. COVID procedures at St. Paul include wearing a mask in class unless authorized differently by teachers or 6 feet spacing is acquirable, using hand sanitizer when entering new areas, and disinfecting desks before class ends so the next class can go. Students are feeling roughly the same about these new procedures.
I feel comfortable with all the procedures here. Some people think we're doing too much, some people we're thinking or too little, but I think sanitizing desks, the masks, sanitizing hands, and separating ourselves during lunch is really good and gonna keep us in school.
I feel that the procedures are pretty good for our health and safety. Keeping our masks on during class when we aren't socially distanced for 6 feet is a big one. And then sanitizing your desks and sanitizing your hands when you leave the classroom is also a good one.
Honestly, I think these new procedures are just here to help everybody keep safe and make it easier so we can actually come back to school and enjoy our school year.
I think the new COVID procedures are, I don't know, they're okay. I mean, if it means we get to stay in school and, not have to go to online learning, that's pretty good.
Even with these new procedures, some students still wish that some of them were changed.
I would change the procedures by having less mask breaks and more time of having your mask on. That way you can interact with your classmates.
I would change the lunch procedure. I would just put the plexiglass in between each set because friends want to be with each other during lunch period. It's the time that we kind of get to relax and just be with your friends and mess around. So I want our lunch period back. That's the biggest thing.
If I could change anything, it'd probably be having to wear the masks. I think the masks it's the most complicated because there's people with a whole bunch of differences like asthma and stuff like that with people, and the masks kind of make it hard to breathe throughout the day. So one thing would just be the masks.
Looks like they've got this pandemic under control. What's next, Josh?
We've got some pretty fierce athletes here at St. Paul, but not quite like Amber Kosmicki. Here's how Amber has struggled throughout her athletic journey.
From the perspective of a fan sitting in the stands, Amber Kosmicki looks like any other top player in Class C softball. Amber is one of the leading players in the state, ranked top 5 in home runs, RBIs, and slugging percentage according to Max Preps. Setting Amber apart from any other player might be difficult. However, her unique abilities managing type 1 diabetes. We sat down with Amber, her mom Sherry, and her coach Stephanie Holdsworth on how Amber must monitor her diabetes during sporting events, where other athletes only have to focus on the game.
Having diabetes sometimes affects my performance. If my number's out of control, then I can be sluggish or slow.
One of those things where you have to monitor the sports event while she's playing, because if she were to get too low or too high, either one, she cannot play. So that's one piece. And then the other piece is that when a person exercises, and this is anyone, you burn the calories at night. So when Amber plays a game like a basketball game or a softball game, at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, her number will completely tank because she's used up a bunch of carbs and she's burning a lot of calories, and that is causing her number to go low.
So as a coach on the bench, my primary job is to just making sure her numbers are good, checking in with her, making sure she's feeling okay. She's at the point where she can manage it herself, and she's a really big competitor, so I just needed to realize, okay, when can she push through it and when does she need to stop or when does she need a snack? Because sometimes she'll say, oh, I'm good, and then she really needs something. So basically just being on her, making sure she's taking care of herself, not letting herself get too low of a number, too high of the number, and always knowing where the snacks are.
All right, let's go. Score some more on 3. 1, 2, 3, score some more.
We've done a lot of training, and we've done a lot of coaching from physicians in the hospital to know how to take care of her. I purchase all of her medications and they are shipped to our home. And as she has gotten older, she has taken care of herself when it comes to diabetes.
Currently, COVID-19 is affecting the United States, so I asked Amber and her mom if Amber has had to take any extra precautions with the pandemic.
The pandemic honestly hasn't really affected my daily life. The only thing I have to do is that I have to keep it under control.
Precautions for Amber when it comes to COVID-19. At first, when they started the discussions about COVID-19, there was a scare about people who had diabetes and that they were at higher risk.
Wow, I never would have guessed. What a fighter.
Yeah, what is that?
Sanitizer. Gotta stay safe. Our next story is about 4 more of our most outstanding athletes. Let's see what's going on there.
According to the National Center for Education Statistics, a little over 7% of high school athletes continue to play a varsity sport in college. And of that 7%, less than 2% of high school athletes play at a Division I school. A few students at St. Paul are working to defy those odds. Eli Larson is a senior, 4-year starter on the football team and is looking forward to playing at the collegiate level. Right now, he has his eyes on the University of South Dakota and Missouri Western State.
The beginning of my recruiting process started with Mr. Fuller, the beginning of my freshman year. He knew I was going to be exceptionally a good athlete, and he got all my highlights and got my film and sent them to different colleges. I was able to get to one camp this summer. It was at Missouri Western. They only allowed 10 people there due to the coronavirus, so that was kind of a bummer, but it allowed me to get hands-on work, a lot of extra speed work and drill work with the coaches there. COVID has affected my process about 95%. It slowed it down a lot. You know, I wanted to be hands-on. I wanted to get out and see different universities, see different programs. Unfortunately, I couldn't do that. I could only go to 2 or 3. So yeah, it didn't help me at all.
On the volleyball side, Paige Lucas Savage is a senior who has also been a 4-year starter for the Wildcats. She has already committed to the University of Nebraska-Kearney. Paige discusses how her early commitment avoided all of COVID, so she was able to have a regular, smooth recruiting process.
I contacted coaches by emailing them and also going to some camps in the summer. I've been keeping in touch with them by emailing them. It hasn't really affected me in my recruiting process because I committed before all of this happened, so I was able to go to an open gym.
Another exceptional athlete at St. Paul is Olivia Poppert. Olivia is a junior who is a 3-year starter in volleyball and a 3-year starter in basketball. She is a setter who can also block with the best. Olivia has no plans for college yet, but she knows she definitely wants to go somewhere with her athletics.
Getting my name out there by going to camps in the summer and talking to the coaches while I'm at the camps. The recruiting process for me has been very busy, with coaches being able to contact me during the middle of the season, and colleges haven't been playing, so they've been focusing more on recruiting.
Lastly, Tommy Robleski is a senior football player. He is a 3-year starter and plays a major role on the team. Not only is he an exceptional football player, but an amazing basketball player as well. Tommy recently took his team to the state playoffs where he led the team in points per game. Tommy's recruiting process took a wild turn when Wyoming University offered him a scholarship to play football for them at the safety position.
I've only been able to do one online tour, and that was to Wyoming a few days ago. The recruiting process started for me when I think after last year, Fuller sent out film. COVID has affected my recruiting process because some college campuses are not allowing visitors, so just only online visits.
If you spray me one more time.
Don't worry, I think we've sanitized enough.
I think it's time for the question of the day, right?
I don't know, man. I just work here. Wait, Miss Holdsworth is...
Don't say it out loud. You'll ruin it for the viewers.
How old is Miss Holdsworth?
She is 30.
How old is Mrs. Holdsworth?
If I had to guess, I'm gonna go 32.
How old is Mrs. Holdsworth?
Probably like 27.
How old is Miss Holdsworth?
Oh, I gotta answer this right. 32.
Oh my God. How old is Miss Holdsworth?
28.
How old is Miss Holdsworth?
26, I think.
Despite the ongoing pandemic, the Wildcats seem just as free and fierce as ever.
It's impressive, really.
That's all for today's episode of Newscats. Stay spooky, everyone.